Well, welcome back to Allergic to Stupidity. Make sure the door's closed this time so the cat can't get in. This is take two for March the 3rd. Weather's turning around down here. I'm getting ready to go out and see some students. And hopefully they remember everything we worked on last week. And things are coming together for them. Today's little chit chat is sort of a twofold, and it's all based on something I listened to this morning on my first cuppa, and it was about this gentleman who said Trump is not what you think he is, and that immediately got me, okay, who's going to try and excuse him? And he wasn't excusing Trump's behavior at all, but he came around and was saying how over the last 50, 60 years, the U.S., and he was really good at not blaming the whole world, he's just saying it's American society, has created a caste system based on education. And he rhymed off some stats, and I'm not remembering them all, but one of them was that if your parents had a post-secondary education, there's a 77% chance that you get a post-secondary education and therefore make more money. And that if your parents didn't have it, then there was a 65 or 70% chance that you would not get a post-secondary education. And that created a caste system, that people who are in the poor realms or the poor levels of society financially are going to stay there. And I heard some really interesting points. And he finished off that first part of his conversation about saying, and that's Trump. And he rhymed off where Trump had gone for university. And he rhymed off J.D. Vance. And he rhymed off Elon Musk. And he rhymed off all these people who are now elected officials, or, as in the case of Elon Musk, gets himself into the White House, are very high-end educated people. Now, having worked with highly educated people, I sometimes walk away going, how could you be so stupid? And I'm sure you've all met them. You're going, you have a degree in what? And I run into people who have a degree in childhood development, and they're going, well, he should be sitting still. I went, he's a 6-year-old little boy. No, he shouldn't be sitting still. God didn't make us to sit still. Whether they're this big or my height, God did not make us to sit still at all. Look what happens to our health when we sit still all the time. So people can have all this lovely education that does not necessarily make what I would classify smart. However, he went on to say, because of that, because if you parents have this amount of education, you're going to get that much more education, and therefore you're going to make more money. Well, that's not true. And that's the part where I disagree with this guy completely. Because I know people whose parents have wonderful education. And their son in question went, I don't want any post-secondary education. I really don't want it. He's a mechanic. Now, technically, yes, as I tell my students in grade 8, post-secondary education does not necessarily mean college or university. It just means that you've gone on to get something else besides high school. That's all it means. You go get your trucker's license. That's post-secondary education. It's some education after high school. And that needs a clarification on that one. And I know his parents have degrees, and he just happens to love trucking. Another trucker, his parents are farmers. They love farming. Most people go, okay, you're going to follow mommy and daddy's footsteps. Well, that's because that's what you grew up with, because that's what you know, right? But some people go, I can't stand farming, or I can't stand sitting still all the time. So I don't want to do that, and that's fine, right? And that's where I disagreed with him, is 100% on that one. Is that, yes, is there a caste society going on in the U.S.? Yes, very much so. But I don't think it's as simplistic as he likes to make it out to be. But the second half of his speech, I went, oh, yes. He said, what it is is society in the last 50, 60 years. So I would say more from the 70s on. Is it has been in North America, and he kept clarifying because he wasn't in England when he was giving this speech when it was recorded. So he's going, I am talking the United States. Is very, very individualized society, in that everything is about what I want, and I want it this way, and I want it that way. And it's back to what I said, fast food syndrome, where all the companies are fighting for your buck. And so they put it on, how would you like it? Let's give it to you your way. You should have it your way. And that marketing, that cultural thing of trying to get your buck is encouraging that individualization, that everybody should have it their way. So I see this in the school, and this is why I agree with the guy when he keeps emphasizing North America, because having worked in international schools and having worked overseas, that individual, but it has to be my way, is nowhere near like it is in here. Like, I have literally had students come in, but I don't want to do the assignment. I'm fine to get a 0, but I need a 90. Well, you want a 90, you have to do the assignment. But I don't want to. I've had parents come in, why did you fail? Because he didn't do any of the assignments, and this is his final assignment, and here's his final exam. He didn't pass. He didn't get the marks. But I paid for him to get this course. And principal and I just looked at her and went, you paid for your child to come to a private school and have a low student-teacher ratio. And I piped up, and I'm here after school every day. Nothing was stopping him from coming into my class for help. But I didn't want to. So it's just that mentality of what I want and I'm important. So we roll it into, and this is where this guy is coming up with the individualization and saying this is what Donald Trump really is. That's Donald Trump. It's everything but I want this and I'm right and it's got to be my way. And J.D. Vance is not much better. And it's things like he doesn't understand, and he said it in front of a retired general, which is like, you're a fool or an idiot, I'm not sure which one, where he said, I do not understand why anybody would join the army. What is it in there for it? What's being in the army? What are they going to get out of it? What's in it for them? Okay, you don't see the bigger picture, okay? Because I know there's people in the U.S. whose families have served their country in the forces for over 150 years. There has been somebody in every generation that has served in the forces because they can see the big picture, because they're going to serve the country. And Trump can't see it because he can't see how there's anything in it for that individual. And that's what's happening now. He doesn't understand where Zelensky is coming from. So when he blew up at Zelensky, like I said in the last video, I think I listened to it 10 seconds if I'm lucky, because it so disgusted me on the way he talked to Zelensky. It's like, I can't believe this is happening. This is an international leader of one of the largest economies in the world, and you're talking to somebody else like that. And it was like, it has to be, and it was literally like that. It has to be my way. I was like, you talk like that in my class? You talk like that to me, I'm just going to turn around and leave, which is what Zelensky did. Or he was escorted out of the White House. You do that in my classroom, and you're going to be out of the classroom. And we're going to be having a conversation with the principal and your parents why you were removed from my classroom. Because that's not how it works. We have to work together. So that's what this whole video was, what I watched was. And I found it very, very interesting because he brought it down to a level where the average Joe can understand. He took away the political stuff that's going on and the GOP versus the Democrats, or our conservatives in Canada versus our liberals or NDPs. He took all that away and he put it right down to the individualization of how we look at the world. So when I'm talking to people about this subject, I hadn't ever phrased it this way, but this is the way I phrase it. When a little baby booper is born, he is very, very self-centered. And he has to be self-centered for his physical survival because he can't do anything for himself. He can drink, he can poop, he can pee, he can cry. That's all. He can't roll over. He can't crawl. He can't go find his food. So he has to cry. He has to be annoyed. He has to make himself heard so that an adult will come and take care of him. Change the uncomfortable diaper, put food in his tummy, make him warm, whatever. And then as the child grows, he realizes that he's not the center of the universe at all. And there's all these other people out there. And oh, I really like that face, because when that face shows up, I get cuddled, and I get food, and I'm made to feel better. I like that. Oh, and I like that face too. And that face makes me laugh. And they start to realize there's more outside of the world than themselves. And they go from being very, very self-centered outward. And then they hit teenagehood, and they, in like the grade 4 to grade 7, 8 stage, they are very coming out and going, oh, you know what? This is better if we work together as a team. And then they go through a couple years where they are becoming very other-centered, but they want to keep mommy and daddy out of the picture. But they're becoming very other-centered. And then about 20, they realize, I need mommy and daddy too. So us mommies and daddies get to be back in the picture. But they've gone from very, very self-centered, very self-serving, through to very other-centered. And realizing that when they're other-centered, everybody prospers. Everybody has a more comfortable life. Everybody is happier. Everybody gets what they need. That's not Donald Trump. He's not a little baby booper who everything is about him. And I want it my way, so it's going to be my way. And what this guy was saying, well, Donald Trump is in an extreme situation. We're all in that individualized, self-centered mode where it's all about me and I want it my way. Which brings me to the TikTok I saw this morning. And I just happened to be doing the dishes, and it was TikTok on various people ranting and raving about the price of food. Which was, okay, everybody's ranting and raving about that. But this lady got on, and it was just nobody understands. I'm a single mom, and I've got 2 boys, and they never stop eating. They're teenagers. Well, yeah, they're teenagers. Teenagers don't ever stop eating. That's the stage of life. Their bodies are doing this. So I turned around and I backed it up and I started listening to her. And she had some legit points. But she was tracking what she was buying. That was the first one that started to make me laugh. Because everything was pre-packaged. So I buy this because it's so much easier to make. And buy this and it's so much easier to make. And buy this and it's like, okay, if you're buying pre-packaged stuff, it's going to cost you more. That's black and white. But in her defense, maybe because she's a single mom, she also has to work, so she has to take into consideration that boys get home at 4 o'clock and I get home at 4:15. I gotta have food on the table ASAP. But then it was, I gotta pick up some hummus. And she picked up peppers or tomatoes to go with the hummus. And she went, I got to put those back because these taste so much better. They're more expensive, but they taste better. And that's what caught my attention. If you're going to complain about the groceries, stop being an elitist and saying, I have to have it exactly my way. I want my hummus. I want some peppers. Go buy the cheapest peppers. Right? Then I was looking at her, and because I've always had to wear glasses my whole life, the cheap part's the prescription. The expensive part's the bloody frame. And if it's the newest style, it's even more expensive because it's the newest style. And that's what she had on her head. Now, I personally didn't like the style, but that's my choice. It's her. She's wearing them. So, I mean, some people wouldn't like my style. Again, they don't have to. I like it. But I'm thinking, you're going to complain about the cost of food to feed your 2 teenage boys. But A, you're going to buy the more expensive pepper because it tastes better with the hummus. And B, you're going to wear brand new style glasses because they're just coming out. And it was like, you have a problem. And that's where that individualization is. That very self-centered, self-serving mentality is that it has to be my way. And yet, as I said, teenagers, generally speaking, figure out if they work together, everybody's better off. 100%. I still have teenagers who will sit in the corner and say, I'd rather do my assignment by myself, miss. Okay, fine. That's your choice. But a lot of them will go get together in teams and we'll work together to get it done. It's fun. It's more fun. It's not as much work because everybody does a part. They come up with better ideas. They've learned that if they work as a team. You think about wild animals. They're bringing down the prey. It's not one animal. It's not one lion. You have 4 or 5 of them circling the poor gazelle or zebra or whatever they want to take down, and they're working together as a team. Think about our firefighters. One guy doesn't just go in and put out the fire. They work as a team. Our hockey teams, whether it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Montreal Canadiens, the Winnipeg Jets, doesn't matter. Note I only say Canadians, but I've always only said Canadian teams. We don't go, oh, that player is fantastic. We go, geez, the Leafs did really well. We see the team as a whole. As parents, when our kids are little, we try to put them into sports. Not because they have the potential of making $10 million as being the next Wayne Gretzky or Sidney Crosby or Michael Johnson, depending on the sport. But A, it keeps them active, but it teaches them teamwork. And I can see that in my class. I can see the kids who are on teams because they will work as a team. They don't have to be so self-centered and individualized. So, that's my chit chat today. And it is that we need to go from being what we've evolved over in the last 40, 50 years of being very individualized and always having to have our way, and get back to working as a team for the betterment of everybody. Take care, guys. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. I know I will. I'll be with my students. Take care. I'll finish my coffee after.